Hello and welcome to Telecom TV. We're here at ETSI NFV number 13. We've been doing it since number 4, so we know what we're talking about now, I think. We're in Dublin, in Ireland, in a place called Croke Park, which is a great big football stadium, but not usual sort of football you might think about. It's about Gaelic athletics, the GAA, Gaelic Athletics Association. It's a huge place, and we're in a very, very impressive boardroom. And I'm talking to Tetsuya Nakamura, Principal Systems Architect with Cable Labs.
Hi.
Good to meet you at long last. We have missed each other in the past once or twice, but finally we meet, and thanks for talking to us. After all the excitement around the announcement of NFV as a technology, the proofs of concept and the field trials and so on, actual commercial rollout of virtualized services seems to be quite slow and quite partial. Has it been taking longer than was expected, and if so, why? For example, is it because service providers have been rather more cautious than the vendors thought they would be?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And as long as I had a conversation with many major operators, I guess there are two reasons. One is more cost efficiency. So why we created such a initiative in the NFV is because many of the operators strongly believe that NFV brings a very drastic cost reduction. But in fact, many people recognize that it's not happening. Reality is more than that. Must be expensive than traditional one because, so as long as we introduce any new technology, so network operator need to manage such a coexisting environment rather than just legacy one. So it implies operational cost and the capex also not double, but must be expensive than before. So to gain the whole NFV benefit, one of the very significant benefit must be a cost reduction. But as long as until it really want to happen, it's a bit difficult to justify the network operator to deploy such a new technology. That's one reason. And the second reason, so why it's still deployment, real commercial deployment is a little bit slow, is NFV is very, very premature enough. So when we started the NFV in the beginning of 2013, so very quickly, so we proposed and made a consensus regarding the architectural framework. But during that time, many people understood a totally different way, especially VNF. What is a VNF? What is a VNF manager? What is the orchestrator looks like? So many people, not only just operator, but also a vendor side, have a totally different understanding. At the end, who really can ensure the end-to-end IoT? IoT means interoperability. Nobody at this moment. So that's one of the reasons why even NFV is a very, very popular in all the industry, but it sounds like a marketing role rather than more technical, matured, insurance to guarantee the end-to-end system is possible or enable to based on the NFV architecture framework. That's the second reason. Both of these two reasons, it's a little bit slow. Of course, but the biggest reason is the cost, because always network operator need to consider how cost can be reduced. Otherwise, it's quite difficult to justify, especially in to convince the network operator center. Because the network operator center folks, need to guarantee the whole 4.9 or 5.9 availability or reliability as an operator service. But nobody cannot guarantee at this moment.
Thank you. That said, manufacturers have been collaborating and partnering in the build-out of big open vendor ecosystems. And we hear an awful lot these days about the notion of the NFV ecosystem, the SDN ecosystem, the cloud and so on. What do these ecosystems look like as far as you're concerned? How important are they? And what has the response to the emergence of these ecosystems been like from the service providers?
Of course, that's a very important aspect. And so far, such a movement to establish or build up such an ecosystem in all over the world is very, very crucial for everyone, I guess, I believe. But on the other hand, so my question to everyone is, how many newcomer can dive into this space? I think many of the vendor is a very, very traditional big telecom vendor occupy or dominate such an ecosystem as a center of their momentum. As long as such a big telecom vendor, I don't want to say any particular name, but many of the famous vendor is still stick on the such a center of the momentum. Even technology is changed, ecosystem does not change. So if we can see the totally newcomer, even very, very small startup vendor can validate their solution in this space, and the operator can evaluate to, oh, that solution is very nice to plug into such an ecosystem, then maybe operator can really get the value on that such an ecosystem. So that's my point. So my question is how many newcomers is allows to play in that role, that ecosystem? And so far, very, very few such a player.
NFV is presented as an overarching global technology. So it's the same everywhere. But we hear now about something called carrier grade NFV. Well, is there such a thing as carrier grade NFV? How does it differ from any other form of the same technology?
Yeah, I would say that's very, very traditional telecom guy still stick on the carrier grade is necessary. But in fact, we mean network operator still stick on the carrier grade or something. It's not change because NFV philosophy or concept is how maybe we can move forward to more accommodate, more commodity hardware and horizontally separate like IT industry. If that's the case, if many of the operators stick on the carrier grade, it not happen. It not change at all. But on the other hand, I still believe, because I'm now moved to a cable, but most of my life is in NTT. So that's why I fully understand what is the concern of the network operator, especially NTT. And I would say carrier grade only still remain in the end-to-end service availability. Given the fact that we are trying to engage with the IT industry, especially cloud environment, each component reliability and availability is much lower than the current carrier grade reliability in each piece of the component. But even in such a lower reliability component, at the end-to-end service availability should be still keep the 4.9 or 5.9 as a operator service. So that's the only requirement which we need to still seriously take into account. But other part, like how much reliability we should expect from a hardware side or application side, it's a little bit stupid to discuss such things. Otherwise, again, nothing changed.
Okay, so moving on, the business transformation, which is an integral part of technology transformation as well, and the emergence of virtualized networks shows that many operators actually lack the skill sets necessary to manage the transformation process itself, to do it quickly and effectively. It seems pretty obvious that new blood specialists are required to do that. Where do they come from, and how soon do you think they'll be up to speed and effective?
I would say many of the operators has a totally different skill set of the person in their each department. Even many of the network operators centers people is a very, very traditional network centric. But on the other hand, many of the big operators already has IT skill set like a person to more response to in charge on their more service, like OTT service player, like things. So only things which each operator need to do that is to more shuffle such a different type of skill set person into this space. More exactly saying, more IT friendly or OTT friendly type of the skill set person inside their company, inside the operator, can be moved to such a space into a more traditional network centric management type of their department. That's the things. Of course, if lack of such a skill set person is not inside their company, immediately we need to operator need to hire such a person from IT industry. But as long as I understand, many of the big operators already have such a skill set inside their company. Unfortunately, such a person is a totally different department and almost because network operator are totally vertical silo type of their department. Each department is a little bit difficult to collaborate each other closely. But if we can shuffle among them, it works, I think.
That's fine for tier 1 operators. What about the tier 2s and the tier 3s that don't have that momentum, they don't have that economy of scale, they don't have the size to be able to do what you're talking about that an NTT, a Telefonica, a Deutsche Telekom could do? They're in second and third tiers. How do they go about it?
I believe if at the end NFV is realized, many of the small operator or small vendor is more easy to involve in such a space, because that's our ultimate goal. Because how maybe easy to dive into that space, like a crowd service. Because any one or two people startup can immediately upload their application on top of the cloud. And a bunch of such a very popular application can be distributed all over the world. Even such a creator or developer of such a application is just one or two persons. The same thing may happen in the operator side. If we can build up the unified, very commodity platform on behalf of the NFV, then any new operator, even nowadays it's impossible to dive into such a role, but any such a very small operator can involve in such a space to provide their own service or even MVNO type of the things. So that's the ultimate goal. So of course, meanwhile, such a small operator, it's a bit difficult to get such a whole skill set. But
thank you. And the last question to you is this. It's been said that network transformation and virtualization is pretty much like building a plane while you're actually flying it. Back in 2013, this company, Telecom TV, we conducted a survey which indicated it would take 2 to 3 years before we would see virtualization in carrier networks. So now, in mid-late February 2016, if I had to ask you that question to you, what would your estimate be from today?
Yeah, I remember that question, and many of the research organizations asking for the exact same question, and very from beginning, I answered the same answer, and still my answer is the same. So NFV is not rapidly happen. Gradually, is became more matured, and at the end, it's occupied the whole industry. But the reason is very simple, because each operator has their own existing very huge platform and environment and asset and facilities. It's impossible to, in some day, it's immediately change something. It's almost impossible. Most likely, more migration scheme and milestone is very crucial. And very carefully, each operator need to think about how to migrate from existing traditional way to a more NFV type of the more IT-friendly way. So maybe I would say more than 10 years, such a migration may happen. That's my view from 2013. And still, I think the same thing. But very beginning, the start of the migration may happen in this year or next year.
So we're going to be in a position that we will have evolution from a hybrid into a hybrid network, and from the hybrid network into a pure play NFV. And that will take how long, do you think?
Maybe 10 years. Because I would say many of the operators has a bunch of the huge system so far. And it's impossible to replace everything in the 2 or 3 years. And also, one of the difficulty is how to justify such a replacement without any real cost benefit.
Okay, Tetsuya Nakamura, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.